bet. Yeah. So, and I was thinking, why don't we get a little bit about your background first? Because we've got this great book, this idea of emotional intelligence, and there's different types of organizational intelligence, and now conflict intelligence quotient. What a good idea. A little bit about yourself and your background.
Thank you. Yes, basically, I was born in San Diego, California. That's why I chose this beautiful background of San Diego to launch my book. I was born here. I was raised between the borders. I'm a border child between San Diego and Tijuana. I was going for an MBA, and I thought, this will be a great master's degree to get in.
That's great, and thanks for endorsing our program. I appreciate that. You've been working in Mexico. You've been working in the United States. You have a number of different jobs, and I thought maybe just to tell people about some of those things you've done, because it really does show the breadth of your experience.
Yes, the work that you mentioned about Mexico, I was working for the Power of Justice as a instructor, teaching mediation skills for the attorneys for the Power of Justice. They actually have a school there, and they invited me over in 2016. And where I developed an advanced mediation program for them. And I taught them that mediation skill set, because back in the day, in 2015, the president back in that year, he was establishing alternative dispute resolutions inside the civil courts. And that's why they wanted, and they were very eager to learn about mediation. And I had the opportunity to teach them. While I was doing that, I was already teaching from 2013 all the way to 2017. I was teaching a certificate program for National University, which is all over the globe. And I had the opportunity to be teaching individuals from all the way from Dubai, all the way from South America that were joining in. And I was teaching them mediation skills, conflict resolution, negotiation skills, ethics and neutrality. And that's how I went about making sure that, that I was teaching them these skill sets in order for them to do that. What else? I had the opportunity to help the Alameda County Superior Court to awakening a dormant program that they had for about 10 years. And because of the economy, they didn't have a lot of nuance in the area of mediation. And I went in. That's how I moved to the Bay Area. And I helped them to reestablish the mediation program for the court system in order to bring volunteers and in order to make sure that they are able to do mediation, for.
Right, and that was really useful to that program. I heard some good things about it. So in State University, in the dispute resolution program, and a few other places. And you also have a full-time coaching and conflict resolution management career, basically. Yes. And so maybe just talk a little bit about that too.
Sure. Actually, Charlie's here, and I believe that Mark is around in the Zoom as well. I also had the great opportunity to help the County of Santa Clara to develop a conflict resolution system design. I had the opportunity to be invited to help them to develop that. They had already started it, and I was invited to help them. And I had that great opportunity to do that for about a year and a half. And then things open up. I went in and get a certificate program in HR and human resource at the University of Santa Cruz Extension in Silicon Valley. And from there, Marco, who is joining us today, he saw something on me because I was always very insisting that HR needed conflict resolution and mediation. And he saw something on me, and he invited me over to become an instructor there. And then from there, UC Davis invited me over. And then Portland State University, I'm teaching for undergraduate students and master students there.
And you're coming currently in from San Diego. I can see some police activity managers all over the place and have done really good work there. Just maybe say a word or two about that, and then we can move to the book.
Yeah, well, I have the great opportunity to be a consultant for a very great company here in San Francisco. And actually, one of their, what is it, chief executives, is actually Prince Harry, because he's very prone to support anything that has to do with mental health illness. And coaching right now has become a first responder type of service that is helping a lot of people. It's helping a lot of companies to have their employees working from home and being successful. So I'm part of helping, the economy to continue moving forward in a strong way, because I'm supporting everybody throughout the world. Like you mentioned, I have been coaching people from South Africa, Germany, Spain, London, obviously throughout the United States and South America, Peru, Chile, even doctors from Chile that needed this type of coaching support. And the majority of them really get attention to my biography or my bio because of that background in conflict management. Because what's happening right now is everybody's having those difficult conversations. Everybody's having those high stake conversations, and they need somebody to help them maneuver and manage, this type of environment, and where they have to be prepared to have it. That is where I help them with.
And that brings us to your book, the conflict intelligence quotient. It's like EQ, Daniel Goleman, and emotional intelligence. Now we're talking about conflict intelligence quotient. And what is it that your book brings in that other books haven't before? What's different about it? How is it useful to us? Add to the conversation. And I think you have a quote from Einstein. I think you had mentioned. I like that. But anyway, go ahead.
Yes. Well, I think that the most famous quote that really inspired me is from Albert Einstein. And he says, you cannot resolve a conflict from the same level of consciousness that you have created. And that's why I called my company Unitive. Unitive is a theological and also a psychological form of consciousness. And that's why I was very inspired to use Unitive as a way to teach others to be able to become more conflict intelligent, right? And help them through the methodology that I have been utilizing for almost like 8 or 9 years since I came out of your program. And I didn't know that there was a methodology that I was just developing by myself, but I noticed that it was working. And the book itself, was already in my mind for several years, probably by 2014. It was already here, but never had the time to really put together everything. But it was great. It just came at the right time because I was able to use this methodology as I was coaching people all over the world.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I realized based on their feed, emotional intelligence.
Right.
In fact, I had a lot of individuals that I was coaching, my coachees, and a lot of, senior managers, directors, VPs.
And that's out of Daniel Goleman's work, right? The emotional intelligence that
But yet, they were still very afraid to deal with conflict. They were still concerned about how to go about dealing with conflict. And that is where I realized that what I was using was augmenting people's emotional intelligence. Because emotional intelligence is more about teaching you how to create self-awareness about your emotions, how to go about not reacting those emotions and using what it's called your fast brain, your fast brain, slow brain, and be able to, to time your slow brain in order not to be reactive. But it just goes all the way to that level. So how do you go about teaching individuals, professionals, as to how to go about going a step forward, going about to becoming a masterful professional in the area of conflict management so that they don't feel intimidated by conflict. Conflict is just an energy, right? A lot of people just don't know how to use that energy. So through my methodology, I'm teaching them how not to be afraid of having difficult conversations, how not to be afraid to provide difficult conversations when it comes to performance evaluations, and also them feeling comfortable to see conflict as an opportunity instead of something that they fear or they're afraid of.
Now you talk about, in chapter 2, you talk about the leaky bottom line and the idea of how organizations and communities and everybody, society right now, there's such costs to all not understanding this stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, your chapter 2 there?
Yes, basically what I'm talking about in that chapter is that companies do not realize that when individuals inside organizations are in conflict with each other, they're not really, their performance goes down and they're not really doing the work to the best of their abilities. Whenever people are in conflict, and I put in there my own personal example, I also, not only do I learn, through a degree, conflict management, I also experienced it. And I think it was because I wanted to become very, very well versed in all of these fields. And I had the situation in where I had a micromanager. And I remember, surviving and trying to figure it out, not only how to deal with the person because, as much as I was given the information, it was not enough. Another couple of hours, I was trying to figure it out. Where can I find another job? And the other couple of 2 hours, I was doing the work, because it does take a lot of energy internally when you're dealing with a hostile environment. So therefore, I wasn't giving my 8 or 7 hours of work to the workplace. I was worried. I was having already, post-traumatic stress disorder. My health wasn't doing well. I was having high blood pressure, palpitations, you name it. I felt it my own self. So that is why when I put that information, that chapter, I started interviewing other people that I was coaching, other people that I was doing consulting work with. Happens the same thing. It was just not only me. It was the same thing happening all over. And that is just you internally. Now imagine all the time that individuals are ready to go in and ask for help or work in a collaborative process in order to invent things, in order to make products better, in order to provide better service to the customers. So just imagine that people are not functional to their best whenever they're dealing with human conflict. Else have any questions, Brian? Maybe Marco, do you want to go ahead and say anything? Go ahead, Marco.
Okay, sure. No, I was blessed to see Yvette in 3 of my classes in the Human Resources Certificate in Human Resources Management at UC Santa Cruz. I'm also a professor at USF in their MBA program, as well as Holt International Business School. And the thing that we discussed after our courses was the void in the certificate program in conflict resolution. And so that's where I introduced her to my dean as well as the program director. And so we jointly all worked on this conflict resolution program to be included in the certificate in human resources management at UC Santa Cruz. So that's how I came into contact with Yvette.